Hey guys, my name is Garrett Durham. Good to be here with you in History 701 for this week's first video discussion post of the course. Um, uh, for this discussion post, we're supposed to kind of compare the methodologies and contents of two different dissertations or works about a particular topic that interests us. I chose the American Revolutionary period, and I specifically chose naval warfare and submarine warfare and developments and so forth that came out of that era. The two different works that I chose, the first one is about the history, basically a study of the history of the early American submarine development and other underwater craft during the American Revolutionary period, all the way through the American Civil War. This study is really different than some of the other articles I kind of read through vaguely. As an overview, history is a basic kind of research background for my reading of his work. And I kind of examined this, and I realized it was kind of different because he translates how these developments during the Revolutionary all the way to Civil War period kind of translates to modern day technology and how it's still being used today. And from my readings of other general histories, they were more like that, just general histories, rather than translating it to today and the uses of these developments even back then. And a lot of people don't know that submarines were used during the Revolutionary period. The famous, what was called the Turtle, and of course the Hunley, H.L. Hunley, in the Civil War, the submarine that was mysteriously sank, and I was only kind of found out the reason why just not too long ago. The second work, but his content is basically he kind of gives an overview and researches general histories of submarine and underwater and above water crafts and developments from Revolutionary period to Civil War and even beyond. But he is kind of the first one that I saw that his methodology was to translate it to today and how it's being used today, and I found that really beneficial. The second work that I looked at was about General George Washington's privateering of citizens for naval warfare combat back in the Revolution. This is another kind of interesting work because I guess if you look at, I think there was a good book called Rebels at Sea here recently that I read, and it's a really good book, but it's a lot of it kind of a general history that a lot of people don't know that private citizens actually did help through the Revolution, especially when the French came involved. They were even more useful because we had even more assistance. A lot of the other articles and works kind of cover like I said, the general history of it, but they argue that they made really significant successes during the war, and there were some, but also I think the best thing about this work that I'm studying, this particular work, he kind of argues the fact that they didn't make huge or significant wins, just consistently, but it was through the small little interactions with the British and the assertiveness and just the consistency that they were privateering these boats against the British. I think that made a huge impact, and that's what he argues. It was the many successes rather than them being a huge naval, force in and of itself. And that was his content and his methodology of getting there. And like I said, his as far as sources and other methodology, I could see by his references that, and I'll post both of these works, of course, in the thread. But I think it really. He really focused on the general histories of, like I said earlier, the general histories of boat craft and privateering of armies and the history of America and things like that. But this is a little known subject, just like the submarines and the boats that I talked about on the last work. Privateering in the Revolutionary War is not super well known. It is well known, but he kind of puts it in perspective. And I think that's his methodology of getting there, and the results that come out of that make it a lot more useful in understanding the bigger picture And when he starts from the inside and then kind of imploding out to kind of help you understand what the naval side of that war was, because when I think of Revolutionary War, the Revolutionary War and the Civil War in America, I don't really think of the Navy side of it as much, and I believe these two shed a lot more light on that, and their methods of getting there, I think, are really useful and simplified to convey really good information. So, thank you very much for watching.